Welcome back, guys. And I know why you're here because some of you don't really know how to do database. So this is for your simpletons who really, well, I don't want to call you simpletons because that's a bit offensive, but this is for people who don't know anything at all about creating databases. And this is for those who are just willing to get some quick start off. So without further ado, what I would like you to do is just create a new Android project. Okay. Once you've created your project, go to empty activity and hit next. Once you've hit next, you would name your application. For this purpose of the video, we just call it login tutorial. Just like that. Make sure that your minimum SDK is on API 19. I just like to keep it on API 19. This is just my preference thing. But you can develop for any API that you've downloaded or installed. But usually I just like to keep it on 19. So hit finish. Then we get into the loading of the project. Android does take some time to load. I'm sorry for not cutting it out. But this is just a quick recording. This is just to get you started off. So once the package is finished loading, we're going to create other packages within the file so that we can order our data nicely. So here we would like to go to the Gradle scripts, go to your Gradle scripts, and then go check your under module. Just let it load a bit. So for those who would like to see my Gradle build, this is okay. This is not the one. Still waiting for it to load. It's taking some time. Okay, now the module is building. Okay, once our module has built it, these are just my Gradle settings. These are the ones that I use by default. I like to use 28 mostly because there's a lot of support for 28, so it's very good to use 28 when you're developing. And I'll just change this to the latest version, JUnit 4.6, then sync the Gradle settings. Okay, once you got a confirmation that it is successfully configured, then you're good to go. Now just close all the tabs you don't need. So the very first thing that you want to start doing is you just want to set your project for development. So here I'm just going to create a new package. Go new package, and I'm going to name this one database for our database files. Go ahead and hit enter, and then the next one that I want to do is for activities. So just write activities, and there you're good to go. Then I want you to click and hold on main activity and drag it into the activities folder and refactor it. Just hit refactor, and then it will start to move that class inside. Okay, it's done. So once you've done that, you want to create your database helper class. So go to new and go to class and create your database class here and just call it database helper. Okay, once that's done, you've created the database helper class. We are going to move on to create two more activities, one being we're going to create two more so go to new, go to activity, and go to empty. Then rename this file, call it register activity. Go ahead and click finish. And then, because now we've put it in a new package, it's going to require you to link it to the rest of the application. So go ahead and you can use the quick what do they call this, the quick import methods. So you can hit Alt Enter and then it will import it here, but you can go ahead and write it. So we can just write our package here. So com dot, then it will show you here, just another programmer, login, and we'll see R here. Oops. So we can just write R, enter, and then add semicolon, and that is fine. And then the last one we're going to add is, the last file we're going to add is the result page. So we go back to activity, add another empty activity, and then call this one home page, or you can just say home activity. Okay, that's fine. Hit enter. Do the same. Import com programmer. Okay, now that we've set up our pages, we need to set up the way that our layouts, so the way that we're going to do this. So the main activity is going to be where we are going to set up the login page. So just delete that text, put it in the split view, just like this. So for this, you can design it either any way, but just make sure that there's two fields. So since I've done this already, I'm just going to grab the one that I did earlier, so that it is going to make it fast. I'll leave the code in the description below so that you can follow that. So I'm going to just copy it real quick. So register main activity. Okay, so here I've just created a main relative layout, and here I've just created a linear layout for the first main text, which is the login title text, and here I've created the login where they will enter their data, and the button is also included. Then I created another linear layout for an invisible background button, which is for the registration. So if you guys want me to do a separate tutorial for how to create layouts, I'll do that as well. So here I'll just fill in, just right click here, click here to register, and just hit OK. This one, this will just be login user. Okay, this would be password, and this would be username. So I'm just putting them here in the strings, the string folder. username, and here this will be for the title. So I'll write login page, just like that. So if you go here, go to strings, under values, go to strings, we'll see that these are the strings that we're adding here. So now we just close all the tabs that we're not using at the moment. So now this is what our page is gonna look like. From here we can take it from getting the registration done. So here we grab the registration page just to speed things up. Paste it here. Same thing. Register user. So this code, I'll leave it in the description below so that for some of you, you can follow it if you want to practice by yourselves. If you want me to do layouts, I'll show you how to do the layouts. Register page, just like that. Okay, now that our layouts are done, we can move on to doing the database side. So now that we're here on the database side, we need to extend by SQL Open Helper, SQLite Open Helper, and here we're going to get a red line here. So we're going to have to implement some methods, as we can see here. So go ahead and click implement methods, and then it's going to make you implement the onCreate or the onUpgrade method. So go ahead and just click OK, and then those methods will be imported. Then it's still going to have some errors here because it wants you to create a constructor for this class. So we can create a constructor for this class by saying data, we can say public database helper, and we can say context. Go ahead and hit enter to import the context and context. So this is how we'll do it, putting it here. Right. From here we want to assign some string and int variable. So what we'll do is we'll say private static final string database name. Give it a name, so we can say tutorial login .db. Very important to write db, otherwise it won't actually make a database name there. And then the next one we want to write is private static final integer, because we need it integer, and we assign database version, and this equals 1. So when we're done here, now what we want to say is super, and put it here, and then say database name, comma, null, comma, database version. Or did I forget the context? Yes. So like this, we have created the constructor. But if you want to see what it looks like without, you can implement the method to make it faster, and then it comes up there, and you can just hit OK. Then it puts all these nullable, nullable, nullable. So we don't need all this inside, and you can see already here the context, the name, this is the database name, and here we can see the version. So we can just do this, or we can just put 1 here to write version, or we can just put this in. It's the same. Here we can just write null because we don't have any factory, and then here we can just remove these because we don't need them. The only thing we need here is the context, so we can just delete all this. And it's just the same as what we made here, so it's still okay. Right now we want to write, we need to create a table name, so go ahead and say public static final string. Now most of these are going to be strings, so what you should do is just hit Control D and it will replicate. So in our terms, we're just making a simple database which is just got about 3 columns: the ID, the name, and the password. So what we do here is you just collect. This is going to be for the table. This is column 1, column 2, column 3. So here we put table name, and our table name can just be users. Here we can put our first column, can just say column ID equals. Now we're naming the columns, so this column can be called ID. Then we can say column username, and this one can be username, and then the next one we can say column password, or we can keep it short and just say column pass, and this one we can just call it column name. Like this. We can close it off, and then here we can just say password, right? Then we need to create a create statement. So go ahead and say again public static final string, and here we can write the SQL create table user query. I'm just writing this, and see how I write it in all caps. It's just a standard that looks nice. So here now what we say is we're going to use the normal SQL create statements, so we can just say create table and space. Since we know the table name, we can just put table name here. Nice. Then the next thing that we need is a bracket, so then put our bracket like this, keeping our space, And the next thing that we're going to do is to make that our code look neat. We're just going to hit enter and put another star here and put our first value, which is the column ID. Very nice. Then we write, hitting a space again, we write the type, which is an integer, space, then we write auto increment, sorry, we're supposed to write primary key auto increment, then put a comma and hit space, then star. Again, here we write the next column, which is column name, sorry, let me just column name star, space, then we write text, comma, space, then we finish off the statement by putting the last column, which is column pass star, space, text, but this time we don't put a comma, we put colon, and then we close it with a semicolon like this, and we end the statement under the tag with a colon. And this is our create statement. So here in our onCreate method, where we are creating our database, we will write db to reference what is inside here. As you can see it highlighted up there in the arguments, dot execute SQL, and we put our string statement there, which is SQL create table user. As we can see, everything lighted up there, everything has been referenced, and it is okay. Then the next thing that we do is we can write another statement here if we want. If you want to be fancy, you can say public static final string drop. You can call it drop table, right, equals, then you write if exists write drop table if exists, like this, add that space, the comma here. Then here you're going to do similar to what you did there and just say db dot execute SQL and reference your drop table there. Drop table, it will highlight, I don't spell exists properly. If exists, like that. Drop table if exists plus the table name, just like that. Then finally write onCreate and then put the table name. Oh, sorry, the database. Wait, is the database? Database name? Oh, sorry. Messing up. It is the table name. But make sure to write. Oh, no. It's DB here. Okay, then that's fine. Right. Like this, we have created our whole table, and now in the next tutorial I will show you how to write the database methods.